Hello and welcome to the Print Dashboard. Just when we thought the SUV segment in India was complete with the launch of Honda Elevate, French car maker Citroën entered with its C3 Aircross. What is it about India and the C segment SUVs? To discuss that, we are joined once again by writer and journalist Kushan Mitra. Welcome Kushan, welcome to the Print, welcome to Dashboard.
Thank you so much, Anurag.
You drove these two vehicles,
Yes.
Elevate and the Aircross, back to back.
Yes, I drove them back to back, and I have some thoughts about them. So,
What do you think? First, let's talk about Honda, because that, I mean, as I mentioned, it was anticipated that that would complete the Indian segment, Indian C segment SUV
yeah,
demand, sort of, because if from Honda being the last major manufacturer not having that in its kitty, but then came Aircross. So first Honda.
I think it's a good car. I think it will appeal to Honda's audience. Honda has made it very clear that in 2 years' time, this Elevate platform will underpin their first battery electric vehicle in India. So, I think it will be a good seller. It's very high quality. It doesn't have certain features that other cars have. For example, I personally think it lacked the ventilated seat, and we had a long discussion with Honda management about that, because all its rivals do. It does come with ADAS, which is the Advanced Driver Assistance System, such as lane keeping assist, adaptive cruise control and all that, but it doesn't have as advanced ADAS system as the refreshed Kia Seltos, which I also drove a few weeks ago. And then there is the Citroën C3 Aircross, which you will see in the video. It's a bit more basic. Citroëns, I don't understand what they're really doing. Are they just holding time before the new platforms from Stellantis come along? It is it can be a price warrior in the segment, and I feel the 7-seat variant of the C3 Aircross could potentially give a vehicle like the Ertiga a run for its money.
Right. Kushan, going back to Honda, it's very late. I mean, I think if I'm able to recollect, it came out with BRB in 2015.
Yes.
That did not click with the Indian buyer, and then it waited, sort of saw the Indian C segment SUV market pan out before it came up with Honda Elevate in 2023. Do you think the wait has been worth for the Indian customers, or do you think there are some misses, like as you mentioned, the lack of a key feature in that segment, which is a ventilated seat?
It's a nice car to drive.
Because you also mentioned in Kushan also mentions in the print column dashboard that it has just one engine option.
Yes. It only has a single engine option. It's a naturally aspirated 121 PS engine, which is quite good. It's a very good engine. Even with the CVT transmission, it's good to drive. It handles very well because it's based on the city platform. I really enjoyed driving the Elevate. It doesn't have that punchy nature of a turbocharged engine like even the C3 Aircross, or let alone the cars from Skoda, Volkswagen or Hyundai and Kia. Nor does it have the hybrid option that Toyota and Maruti Suzuki give you, which is strange because the Honda City does have that hybrid option, but as I said earlier, they will come out with the battery electric. But for loyal Honda buyers, and there are lots of loyal Honda buyers, I mean, I look at my own mother as one of them. She's on her third Honda City now. They will possibly like this car. Many of them did not switch to an SUV. They stuck to the Honda City. But Honda's always been a bit late to the game. I don't think they're late to the game this time round. I think the C segment is still growing. It is the fastest growing and the most profitable segment of the Indian car market. But they were late with the Honda Civic, which they withdrew. They were late with the CRV. You talked about the BRV, which was actually meant to take on something like the Ertiga, because being a 3-row car, but there was a WRV which was there in the B segment SUV market, which is cars like the Venue or the Sonnet today. But even that didn't do well because it wasn't distinguished enough from the Jazz. I hope Honda gets it right. I hope, I mean, they get it right with their pricing. I hope everybody, because that's going to be very vital in this segment, which
Right.
is pricing. I mean, should they charge a premium to, say, the likes of Hyundai Kia, because the Kia Seltos with its refresh has been very aggressively priced for the amount of kit, in the matter of speaking, you get with the car, with their advanced radar assisted ADAS system, with ventilated seats, with a panoramic sunroof, with the Bose audio system. You're getting the
The
works.
feature list is quite lengthy when it comes to the
Yeah.
the Korean car maker. But Kushan, Honda, as you just briefly mentioned, would you like to elaborate on the fact when you mentioned that it is going to attract the traditional Honda buyers, the people who love the city, or for that matter, people who love the quality of Civic, what Honda is known for, especially handling. Do you think all that is there in Elevate? Or do you
Yeah.
think there has been some compromise made? Because you mentioned in your column that it has apparently class leading ground clearance.
It has class leading ground clearance. Not only that, the soft touch of the car, which is the plastics, which is, where you sit down, everything, the seats, the leatherette, even the cabin insulation, everything you can touch and feel in the car feels very nice, feels premium. Which is clearly not the case in the C3 Aircross, as I wrote as well, that, it's a bit plasticky, but every car is built to a price. But this, while it is a profitable and growing segment, and I'm sure Honda will be able to sell cars even initially, even if the price it a bit expensive. But if they really want to gain some market share, they should be, I wouldn't say be aggressive with pricing, but be rational with pricing.
Right. That's the advice for Honda. What about Aircross, C3 Aircross? Your thoughts? And what is it? It's not like car makers are not aware of the market that they are playing in.
Yeah.
So there must be some, rationale behind what they are offering to the Indian buyers.
I think I'm actually surprised sometimes with Citroën. Again, as I mentioned, the plastics are a bit better than you got in the C3, the hatchback. But that's not saying much. I mean, one thing I love about the Citroën cars until now is they have some of the best paint jobs I'm sure Citroën is one of the best paint shops in the industry. But again, the soft touch stuff, right? I mean, you can say as much as you want about the ride and handling and the nature of the engine. But when you or I as a customer walk into a showroom, we're not driving the car immediately. We don't know anything about the ride and handling or the performance of the engine. It's the touch and feel.
Right.
And if the touch and feel doesn't feel nice, if the plastics feel a bit soft or a bit, you know what I mean, it's a bit difficult to explain. But when I was with the other journalists, the other automotive journalists, and we are all talking about plastic quality, that's very rare because plastics are a given.
Right.
This just felt like, the accountants had gotten involved with the car because they cut back on the, you've gone one grade of plastic too low maybe.
A clear case of sort of a cost cutting.
Cost cutting, penny pinching, it could have been so much better. I mean, sure, if they price it aggressively, if they price a car that's, as big as a C segment SUV for below 10 lakhs, maybe even 9 or 8 lakhs, it could do very, very well.
But Kushan, don't you think that that's a new player that we are talking about here? But if we sort of step back and take a look across the industry, do you not think that most players are now compromising on some level or the other? That's across segments, because I was I remember watching a video in which people were complaining about the last generation Polo that went out of production about a year ago, being not that good when compared to the earlier models. Or I know a friend of mine, he drives a Skoda Kushaq, and he said that I've bought a car that cost me nearly 18 lakh rupees, but when you look at the, certain, not all of it, but if you look at it in parts, certain portions of the dashboard, say the glove box, it does look like, even company like Skoda and Volkswagen, they have sort of gotten into this, idea of cost. Is it local sourcing or what is it?
I think everybody feels that the Indian market is, a very price sensitive market. While prices have been going up today, a top end Kushaq, a 1.5 liter Kushaq, or a hybrid Grand Vitara, or the top end Seltos, they are all 20 lakhs plus. And you feel that the quality of plastics, as you quite rightly said, the quality of the suspension that you got maybe 15 years ago was better. But of course, car makers constantly evaluate. Now, one thing I want to make very clear to our viewers is that because the new Bharat NCAP norms are being notified later this year, they've already, the draft has already gone out. We'll discuss that in a future episode of Dashboard. These cars are very, very safe now. They're much safer than cars were 10, 12 years ago. But of course, as a result, safety costs money. So they're trying to cut down. So the gauge of the plastics may be less. The soft touch of the plastics may be. So that's what Honda is trying to say with the Elevate. We are a bit more premium because our touch and feel is superior.
Right.
Citroën, if they manage to price the car aggressively, will say we've managed to price the car aggressively because we, done this touch and feel thing less because,
Absolutely. Kushan, looking at the market in itself, the C segment, with the new Seltos also being on the market, how do you see it panning out? Do you think more launches? Because now it almost looks like almost every manufacturer has now come out in last 5-8 years. They have all come out with their first and probably first generation plus the facelift thing. So now it's like the first phase is almost done. Do you think it's going to go into a next phase?
Yeah. Next year will be the Creta facelift. The Creta, of course, is the car that defines the segment.
Right.
Unfortunately, the car that invented the segment, which is Renault Duster, invented that segment. They are not even there anymore. There will be facelifts next year from the Creta, from the Kushaq, from the Taigun, most likely. So all these cars will have facelifts. I will also not be surprised now, as you see with luxury cars, this entire concept of the coupe SUV.
Right.
So, cars like the X4 or even the Q3 Sportback. So, I will not be surprised if that concept starts coming into cars. So, you might have a coupe version of a Creta.
Right.
I mean, as platforms become more widespread and car makers want to differentiate, you'll also be seeing the facelift, by the way, of the Tata Harrier.
Right.
And there will be more and more cars coming in this segment. So, every player wants to be a part of this segment. The Indian car buyer obviously wants a larger car, higher excise, be damned. Right. So they want to buy, they don't want to be stuck to under 4 meters, they want bigger.
Right.
And that's quite clear. So these cars will also grow a bit. So from the current 4.3 meters, I think they'll go to 4.5 in the next generation. But by 2025, Honda might start the lead, and even Citroën speaking about an electric version of the C3 Aircross.
Right.
Honda is speaking about electric version of the Elevate. So by 2025, we'll start seeing electric versions in this segment. So a lot of electric choice in this segment.
That's one way the segment is going to evolve, and it seems for the C segment SUVs, the road is wide open in India. Well, we leave it at that in this episode of the Print Dashboard. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Kushan.
Thank you, Adwan.